Hi everyone. So what I'm going to be showing you how to do today is one of the very easiest and very simplest bookmaking projects that I do, and this is called the No Glue book. So this book that you see right here is made completely without glue, and it's held together just by paper and the tension of the paper. The book is made out of some jelly print papers that I had from just some random jelly prints that I had made, and I'll take this apart so that you can see what it looks like, and then stay tuned and I'll show you the directions for the rest of the book. So here's the front cover, here's the back cover, and this right here is the spine of the book. The spine is made out of cardstock and it comes out just like that, and you'll see right now that I have this great big accordion of paper in there. The accordion slips out of the back and front covers, just like that. Okay, now we have the two covers left here, and I'm going to take these apart so that you can see that there is absolutely no glue holding this book together. There's part of the first front cover, part of the second, and that's the chipboard that's inside of it. Same thing for the back cover. There's one part of the cover, the other part of the cover, and the other piece of chipboard. And that's all you need to make the book. So keep watching and I'll show you exactly how I did this. Okay, so we're going to be starting out with the materials that we're going to be using to create the book. So first off, I've cut two pieces of chipboard, and this is just some scrap chipboard that I had, medium weight, and I've cut the pieces 4 inches by 6 inches. I also have cut out from a piece of cardstock, and I just picked white cardstock because that's what I had handy, a piece of white cardstock, and this is 6 inches tall by 3 inches wide. And what I've done is I've drawn a line straight down the middle so that I know where the middle is, and then if you can see, I've marked off 1/8 of an inch on either side, and that's going to be the score line. We're going to fold this in a little bit. And I also have a couple of pieces of decorative paper. These are some jelly prints that I made that I want to use for the covers of the book. So we're going to cut these out in a few minutes. The other piece that I have is going to be the inside of the book. So this is a piece of paper that is 6 inches by 36 inches that I folded to be 4 by 6. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that first, and then we'll go into how to recreate the covers. So this is one long piece of paper. I had 24 by 36 inch white drawing paper, and what I did is I cut it to be 6 inches wide, so it would be as tall as my covers, and then I left it the length of 36 inches. Now in order to fold this evenly, what I've done is I actually measured off 4 inches from the last part of the paper. The reason why I'm doing this is because we want to have an even number of folds in there, and if you keep folding this in half and in half and in half again, it'll work out to 6 by 6 rather than 4 by 6. So we have to get rid of those 4 inches so that when I fold, I'm actually going to fold up to this line right here. Like that. And then the way I learned how to fold papers when creating accordion books is to use the paper itself. So I'm now going to take this free edge of the paper right here, and this is my bone folder. It's a Teflon one, so it doesn't mark the paper up. And I'm folding this back over to the edge. I'm using my bone folder to fold that down. Then I'm going to flip the free edge back this way, line it up at the edge, use the bone folder to fold that down, and then just keep folding. Now that I have the 1/2 of it folded in, I'm going to come back over to here where I made the mark, and I'm going to line up my free edge there. And again, take my bone folder, start folding over there, and continue folding in from the free edge. At this point, turn it over. and make the last fold like this. Now I'm going to fold this, but at some point I'm probably going to cut this off so that I can join it with the other piece to make one big long accordion. I have a demonstration piece just that's covered with some construction paper, just so that you can see what it's going to look like before we cut the papers and put them on. So in here, inside of this construction paper, is one of these chipboard pieces. So I'm going to take this apart just so you can see. And it's loose enough that I can reach my hands in there and grab the paper, and this is not glued in any way, shape, or form. The paper is just folded, and the tension of the paper is holding it together on the board. Okay? So this is what the two pieces of paper will look like. You'll have a horizontally cut piece that has these wings on the edges, and then you'll have a vertically cut piece that has wings on the top and the bottom. And you wrap it around the boards very simply. It doesn't have to be precise as long as you have a flap here and a flap here. I didn't measure this. There's a small gap in between, which is fine. So I've covered the board one way. Now I'm going to take the other piece of paper and I'm going to put it over the flaps of the first piece. And I'm going to take these flaps and tuck them in between the board and the orange piece right there. So this piece is going to slide in here. And just wiggle it in. And then on the other side, I'm going to start tucking in, again, in between the board and the paper. I'm going to start tucking in the other piece. And you just wiggle that in there, and it's covered. And it will stay covered like that no matter what. No glue, just paper. Again, here are my pieces that I'm going to use, and I looked at them already beforehand to try and figure out what area of them I wanted to use, because remember, that's going to be my cover. So maybe I want to use it this way and cut out this piece maybe. Kind of fold that over and get an idea of what it would look like. I think I kind of like that. And I do have enough that I could cut some from the same piece, but I also really like this print as well, and it's in the same general color scheme. We have that green and that yellow ochre in there with a little bit of white and a little bit of dark. So I'm going to make two different covers, and then I'll use this for the insides. So I'm just laying the board down here. I'm going to take a pencil just so that I know where I'm cutting that out. I'm old-fashioned. I use scissors instead of a paper cutter. Plus it's easier for me to do that on camera. Okay, so there's my first piece. So I'm going to put this piece on here. And that measures out quite nicely. And this one's a little bit shorter because I took it from a smaller section of the print, but it'll work just the same. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to trim down the edges of the flaps. If you look back on here, you'll notice these are not perfectly square with the edge. You'll see that a small piece of it has been cut off. And I'm not measuring this in any way, shape, or form. I'm just kind of taking my scissor, angling it in a little bit, and trimming off what looks like a small triangle. I'm going to do this on all sides. And this just makes it a little bit easier to put together the book when you have to slide the flaps in between the cardboard. So I've trimmed that one. I'll go ahead and fold this in between those. I'm just going to take that. I'm going to give it a good fold, and you could use your bone folder to kind of crease the edge a little bit. Use that right there. Okay, that's one done. And then I'm going to take this one and decide the same thing. I love that leaf print. That was from an actual leaf. I'll get a little bit more of that on there. There we go. Okay. Now this, obviously, I'm going to have to trim out a little bit of a shorter piece, but I've got the basic idea of where I'm trimming that off of. There. Okay. Get that out of there. And those two pieces. And again, I'm just going to hit that very lightly with my bone folder to crease it. So I have the first two parts of the cover done. Now we have to make the other side. Okay, so I went ahead and I trimmed down all of the pieces to go over the boards. So this one is finished right here. So that's the front and back cover. And I'm going to go ahead and put this one on. So remember, you putting the flat part over the flaps. And then these little flaps right here are going in between the front cover of the paper and the cardboard, chipboard. Okay, one side's in, and then you just kind of go ahead and wiggle in the other side. Okay, so here's my two covers and the insides. All right, now I'm going to work on the accordion fold that's on the inside. So I have the two sheets of paper, and what I've done is I've trimmed off half of that extra piece here, and I'm just going to go ahead and glue it down onto the second accordion to make one big, very long interior for the book. Now that that's glued and I have my one big piece, the only thing left to do is to make what is going to be the spine of the book. So again, this was a piece of heavy duty cardstock that I cut out, and this piece is 3 inches wide by 6 inches tall. I've marked the center of the spine so that I know where it is, and then I've just put some small marks so that you can see I've marked off 1/8 of an inch on either side of that line. And that's going to be my score line, and what that's going to do is it's going to take into account the thickness of the cardboard, because the spine is going to go right there. So I'm just going to take my ruler, line it up on those 1/8 inch line marks, going to take my bone folder and score a line there. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold that. Flatten that out with my bone folder. Then I'm going to go ahead and make that same score line with the 1/8 inch marks on the other side. If you have a scoring board, you could use that for this. I'm doing this a little bit old school with my bone folder. Now, if you don't have a bone folder, you could use a popsicle stick. That's what I do with the kids in school. If we don't have enough bone folders, I'll use a popsicle stick, or you could use the blunt end of a scissor to score that, or I've seen people use a mechanical pencil just without the lead in the point. They can use that to score as well. Okay, so what I've done is I've folded the two score marks down, and it's made this very small piece for the spine here. So what's going to happen is I'm going to take my first cover and I'm going to slide in this part of my accordion. Now I'm going to take the end of the book and the back cover, and I'm going to slide that in there. Like that. Now you could leave the book like this and have this wonderful accordion book, but what I like to do is put in the spine piece, which will fit right here. And again, I'm just sliding them in the same spots that I put the paper in when I did that. And there's the spine piece in the book. And now it's like a regular book. So there you go. That is the no glue book. It's being held together only by the tension of the paper. And of course, if you wanted to make this thicker or to have more folds in the accordion, you would just adjust the space of the spine accordingly and just make that a little bit thicker. Instead of 1/8 of an inch on either side of the middle line, you would do 1/4 of an inch. But here you go. That is the no glue book. And again, you can use the spine or take it out and create a giant accordion book like that. Thanks for watching.